Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? Welcome to another week of Motivated Millennium, where we get deep and talk about the stuff that really matters in life. We got a lot to talk about today, so I'm just gonna jump right into it. We're coming up on the year mark that I lost my wife. So this week has been just a lot of reflection. A lot of thinking about honestly, a lot of thinking about memories. So when when we first lost her, what I did was I just totally dissociated. Right, I took everything. I mean, furniture, pictures, anything that had like a memory associated with it. I literally took it and got rid of it. Either threw it away or packed it up in a box. And the biggest thing that, or I would say like the most important thing was probably the photos. Between all the photos and videos that we took and things like that, I probably had about like 3,000 different files. And keep in mind, we'd only been married 2 years, so basically, when we weren't taking pictures of each other, we were sleeping or thinking about sleeping, and so I was a lot of like material. Sorry, let me back up. So I took all these photos and stuff, and I basically just put them in a box in a separate storage file, terabyte disk thing, and didn't touch them or look at them for the past year. And then I don't know. For some reason, I just I just had this like desire to get back into them, to open up, to take a look at them, and go through some of the memories that we had. And that was, I'm trying to think of like a different word for hard, because it wasn't like a day at work where you get a ton of customers and you just got to be like, oh well, got a lot of people, time to stick it to it and go really hard and be a good person. I mean, this was more of like gut wrenching. You know what I mean? Yeah, because it wasn't just like, like, oh wow, look at this and stuff like that. I mean, it was seeing just, how we were happy, how we were being a married couple and all that jazz, and working to just, not only be better people but to create a family and things like that, because that's obviously what you do when you get married. You try to, you know, create a family, even if it's family too, right? So I'm gonna share this quote real quick, and I apologize, I could not find who came up with this quote, so this one is from somebody anonymous. But it goes, quote, "When someone you love becomes a memory, the memory becomes a treasure." Close quote. And dude, they're so right. Because the thing is going through those photos and stuff like that. Like, I'm so glad that I didn't delete them, that I didn't just throw them away like I did with so many other things, right? That I actually kept them, and I was able to go back and look on the happy times and the precious memories that we shared, because there's a lot of anger and just like injustice, just like rage almost that's going on. Like, really? Really? Why her? Why her? Why not anybody else? And, why did this happen? Like, why couldn't it have gone so a different way, a better way, like it has with all these other people, right? And a lot of that is missed opportunities and things like that, right? I mean, you guys are together, you have a family and stuff like that, and then when it's gone, automatically you're just like, I feel cheated on. I feel like this is unfair, and that life has dealt me or a bad hand. For example, like trying to set our family up, and between like the wedding and the honeymoon and moving multiple different times and a bunch of different stuff, we were financially in debt, and that's something that came with being married and just supporting family and stuff like that. Especially being a full-time college student, like, you're not making a lot of money, so you kind of have to delve into the resources that are available. And a lot of what I've been thinking, just in that regard, is whether or not it's worth it. Like, should I have not even gotten into debt? I mean, maybe I should have just waited it out, you know? I mean, if I knew that she was going to be gone in 2 years, like, what is all this for? Like, this is just a waste of money, really, is what the thought process was. And going through these photos, it really does show you that, for me, anyways, it was worth it. It was totally worth it. I mean, the, you know, financial sort of like uh, boundaries that I'm in, and I wouldn't say the lack of freedom, but just the like sort of extra burden that comes with the finances that I'm going through. Like, the extra money that I get in my paycheck, like it isn't being saved, it's getting put towards credit cards and stuff like that. So it's not like, we're hurting for money or anything like that, but it would definitely be nice to like invest that, do a portfolio, put that towards other things like the community and stuff like that instead of, paying off old debts. But I would do it again in a heartbeat because memories that we shared were just, they were treasures, you know? They're priceless. There's something that I get to hold with me that I guess can never go away. I remember when my mom died, and I guess I finally came to grips with it and started trying to figure out how to process it and like acclimate that into my life. I was talking to my therapist about it and just, how it still comes in waves. I mean, we're talking like 20 years after the fact, right? That she's passed away, and still I'm over here like, oh, life is so hard, and I just can't get through another day because it's just terrible. And how, I don't know, dramatic that sounds. And one of the things he hit me with was, well, how often do you talk to her? And after I did my little like word vomit of seance and weird supernatural sort of rituals, he was like, "No, nothing weird like that. I'm talking about just like when you feel her around, or when you wish that she was here and you could talk to her. Like, what do you say in those moments?" And obviously, the answer at that point in time was nothing. I don't talk to dead people. That's weird, and I don't know, slightly psychotic. At least it seems like it would be. And so he challenged me to do it. He was like, "Hey, talk to your mom. Pretend like she's still here. Pretend like she can hear you on the other side. Whether that be heaven or incarceration or whatever." And yeah, see how it goes. See how you feel. And I remember this specifically. I think it was like the second year in college. I'd um, literally got my car. I was going to go drive to one of my favorite mountains, and I was going to go climb the mountain and then use that as like a catalyst to talk to her in a place that I felt comfortable and there wasn't anybody else around, so I didn't have to feel embarrassed. So we're driving. We got to the mountain, and I started hiking up this trail. It was like the middle of winter, so it was all wintry, and like I was decked out in a bunch of different layers and snowshoes and stuff like that. I say snowshoes, technically they were like milk crate things, like the sides of those milk crate carton, or not cartons, but like they're plastic. They have holes, and I'd sort of just tied them onto my feet with string, but they worked. And I used that to head up the mountain to apparently converse with my mom. And I didn't get very far. I maybe got like a half mile up this mountain before, first of all, I got exhausted because your boy isn't a marathon runner, and hiking dead of the winter is not something that my body is super excited about. So, half a mile in, and my body was like, okay, cool, let's stop and take a second to think about whether this is what healthy people do, or whether this is something that you're going to use as a cautionary tale. And I was sitting on a log, and just, I remember looking at like the trees and the snow and things like that, and it was a perfect place. I mean, there's nobody else around. It's just me and the mountains. I'm with nature, a place where I feel comfortable, a place where I like grew up, just kind of going to find solace and cherish those memories, and went for it. I mean, it started out super simple and like really shaky. I think it said something like, "Hey mom, I miss you," or something simple like that. I don't really remember the words. What I remember though is just a feeling of the guards coming down, because for so long I had kind of kept that wall up between like me and who I am as a person, my character and stuff like that, and the vulnerability and the hurt and the pain and the anguish and the loss and all of that stuff. I mean, I wanted to separate those two so that it never affected me who I was as a person, or like how it affects my work ethic, or being a leader, an influencer for people, or worst case scenario, becoming a burden for somebody that becomes annoying to the point where they talk about it during like brunches with their other suburban individuals or suburban cohorts or whatever. And I was not ready for that. I mean, I remember just bawling my eyes out on the side of this mountain because for the first time in a long time, I actually let myself just feel the loss of my mom and just kind of feel that pain for a little bit, instead of dissociating it or trying to pin it down, pretend like it doesn't exist. Because that's what I wanted to do at the time. So, yeah, score one for the therapist. He won that round. But that was the start of a journey. A journey of learning that it's okay to connect with our loved ones that have, passed on and stay connected with them because those memories don't just go away. I mean, things happen. Like every time I see an old model, what did she used to drive? Like a Toyota or something like that? I always think about her. Anytime I see, anytime I hear the song "Hey Santa," I don't remember exactly who the artist is, but whenever I hear it, it just makes me think of her. And literally talking to her out loud is just kind of a way that it feels less one-sided. Um, Feels like you guys are still connected, and it's not an eternal goodbye. It's just a really long separation, I guess. That's not the right words, but I don't have a script for this podcast, so you get the ad-libbing or improvisation. So if you want to join along with this improv, you can just start yes-anding. That's an improv joke. You know what? This is all not making any sense, and I'm just talking out of my head right now. So we're going to move on. There is a quote who I did find is from, hold on, Jody. Wow. I really should have checked on that before I decided to talk about this publicly. Just, it's funny. Jody's my mom's first name. Anyways, so Jody says, quote, "I don't know what it is about death that makes it so hard. I suppose it's the one-sided communication. The fact that we never get to ask our loved ones, or we never get to ask our loved ones if," and she says she, so I'm going to use that. "We never get to ask our loved one if she suffered, if she is happy wherever she is now." Sorry, guys. I gotta take a second. Oh, sorry, guys. Whew. Had to take a second there, because, yeah, this is pretty much me. I've just been a mess the past week just going through this stuff, because it really comes in waves. You don't expect it or really have any control over it, so that's fun, learning how to roll with the punches. Okay, so I suppose it's the one-sided communication. The fact that we never get to ask our loved ones if she suffered, if she is happy wherever she is now, if she is somewhere. It's the question mark that comes with death that we can't face, not the period. Close quote. And again, that's from Jodi Picoult. And God, she hits it right on the nail. I mean, it really is a question mark. I mean, that's what people get caught up. That's what I got caught up on over the past year was just the what ifs, you know. Like, what if we did have the time and opportunity to start a family? What if, I had taken a different route that night? What if it was me instead of her? Like, there's just so much that goes into that question mark, and again, you can't do anything about it. You can't find answers. You can't fight to change the outcome. You literally just have to like assimilate or acclimate to those questions and those open-ended sort of, I don't know, life experiences that go on. Anyways, case in point, the reason that I bring all this up is that this was this was the first week that that I actually talked to her, that I actually like talked. Sorry guys, I'm trying to get through this. This was the first week that I actually talked to my wife, and it felt so weird and wrong because I think the first thing was just anger, like why aren't you here? Because I'm struggling so bad, and literally I would give anything for just 5 more minutes, God, to at least say goodbye, one last time to tell you I loved you, but I don't know. The anger slowly sort of faded into just, well, this, this mess and sadness and loss and just a blubbering mess because I don't know what to do with those memories other than to just watch them and look back on them and think about how incredibly blessed I was to have that. To have somebody who to have somebody who I had like a stupid handshake with that we would do anytime that we would do anytime something really cool came up, or the laughter from stupid little movie quotes like, well, I guess I'll die, or just stupid stuff like that. Because I mean, it's dark right now. I mean, we're definitely going through like a season of winter just in my personal life, and it's really easy to kind of get sucked down into that. Whew. But something that kind of helps, especially keep me centered, is just knowing that, damn it, we had just that true love, that that real love that you read about, and especially from me, somebody who came from a broken family that's been through, I don't know, like 10 experiences and a half of just horrific and tragic things. I definitely had the hope that someday I would get married to somebody that could be the personification of that true love that I believed in and that I knew existed. And God, it sucks that it only was there for what, 2 years? And then, it just sort of got ripped away. But the fact that it ever existed in the first place is a really important detail that needs to kind of have the spotlight on it. That's really what it comes down to, is just paying attention and focusing on those beautiful moments that made life worth living for. So, if you guys are in the same situation and going through the same stuff that I am, I would implore you to maybe be ready for the time when you get to go back to those memories and go back to those special times that just set your heart on fire and really made life the beautiful and amazing miracle that it is. Because eventually, when everything subsides, I mean, keep in mind, like, this took a year. This took a year for me to actually get to a point where, like, I could, reach out and, well, just talk to her about what was on my mind. So, don't try to jump into it before you're ready, but be prepared that the time will come where you'll feel like you need to talk to him, and you should, well, not talk, just connect. You know, it doesn't have to be as dramatic and eccentric as like actually talking to them out loud. That's just what worked for me. That's what my professional told me to do, and I went with it and ran. You know, I mean, I will give some backup, right? So, Dr. Allison Forey says speaking out loud to a loved one who has passed, whether at a gravesite or out loud at home, is helpful for many people processing grief. I will sometimes encourage my clients to speak to an empty chair in an effort to help them cope with grief. Many people will experience a sense of disbelief after they've lost a loved one. By encouraging people to speak out loud to their loved one, it helps them resolve that disbelief. Close quote. Even though I didn't say open quote at the beginning. But she's right. It does kind of help with that coping with grief and that resolve. So, yeah, just don't fight it. Just sort of lean into it, let it happen. Because it does help a lot. And honestly, those memories that once were just, God, so painful end up becoming some treasured memories. Sorry, end up becoming a treasure. They really do. Become that stuff that you just kind of hold on to. It gives you hope for a future and a better life, you know. So, thanks for joining in and dealing with my processing emotions and whatnot in the moment. It was super fun to do that in front of you guys. But, again, I know you guys are doing your best. And I believe in you guys. I know you got this. And, I'm with you all the way. So, take care. Make your choices. And, yeah, that's about it. So.